What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, look better, love better, be better athletes every damn day of their lives. And our Wednesday afternoon show, that's right, afternoon show, if you're live, if you're not live, I don't know why I give the time, because I'm bad at this job.
Quarter after hour.
Yeah. Brought to you by our friends, our very, very good friends, our original sponsors at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar in Front 43 Neighborhood Pub. That's just north of Frandor, near the East Lansing border in Lansing. Unbelievable television setup, great specials. Cask & Company, sort of adjacent to Front 43, a great date place where you can still catch the game, right? I mean, it's one of the best sports bar combo setups you'll ever find anywhere, and that's why they were our original sponsor. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. Now, before we get started, people were telling me after Sunday's Hot Take show, after we talked about Duke, North Carolina, I thought it was a huge deal, kind of ruined Coach K's legacy, that some were telling me that it was one of your worst takes of all time because you were just like, you didn't think it was that big of a deal. Multiple people. Like, this could be Graham's worst take. And I'm like, so, do you realize how monumental that is when you say that?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Worst take of all time.
Like, I'm not arguing that maybe it's a bad take. It's just how I felt. But to put it as my worst take of all time, considering how many atrocious takes I've had.
I know, but it's up there.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that I find credible was like, I can't believe, how are you a Duke fan today? Coach K has to come back. And then I was like, man, last night we did the show, and Graham's like, So I would put it on the Mount Rushmore of your terrible takes. But
so here's the thing.
If you want to walk it back, we can take it off Mount Rushmore.
For better or worse, I follow where my gut, like, if something doesn't mean much to me, I tend to think it doesn't mean much to other people. But you can't look
at like the grand scheme of things, like the big picture of what you can't put yourself in a Duke fan. I gave you a scenario where Tom Izzo, he did the farewell tour and Michigan does that to him.
But keep in mind,
I would be suicidal.
I don't believe Duke fans exist. They're like Northwestern fans, but they've won more. So that's from that standpoint.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure before we start the show that we're going to throw it on the Mount Rushmore of Graham's worst takes of all time.
We've got a good show, I think. We're going to talk some MSU basketball because a lot's happened even since we talked on Sunday with Dwayne Stephens leaving the program. I think the fact that Joey Hauser is still considering staying at MSU is a development that's worth discussing. We're going to have our good friend Harry on to break down baseball season win over-unders and the Masters picks that you should take. And we usually have Harry on at the end, but we're going to reverse this for Brendan's schedule. Brendan Quinn, who's at the Masters, we're going to have him on later in the show, talk Michigan State hoops, what he thinks of Max Christie, what he thinks of the Dwayne Stephens situation, just the program overall, and also
while he's at Augusta.
Also Tiger Woods in the Masters.
Tiger Woods in the background. What do you think about Dwayne Stephens going to Western Michigan?
You know what I should do is be like, hey, let's talk some spring football. Yeah. Let's see if I can
what do you think about the offensive line this year?
See if I can get Quinn on the spring football stuff. Anyway, so let's start with the news that Dwayne Stephens is headed to Western Michigan. He's there being introduced today as we speak.
Is it sad that I thought about you more than I thought about Dwayne Stephens when it was announced Western Michigan was the school?
You know, I've been here covering Michigan State now longer than I was there. So it's,
But never forget.
But never forget, right?
Yeah, because you worked in Kalamazoo.
But he had a funny quote. This is today. He said that Tony Garcia, who's now at the Detroit Free Press, by the way, tweeted that Dwayne Stephens jokes about how he'll be different than his mentor, Tom Izzo. We will have a zone.
Well, you're going to have to at Western.
That's right.
Something's going to have to happen.
Yeah, the athletes you're going to get, my friend, you're going to need a zone at times. So a couple things. One, I thought this was interesting from Dwayne Stephens' vantage point because we've talked about him as a possible successor to Tom Izzo over time, right? And if you were truly to be that, Why would you risk going to a place that's not that can be a good job in the mid-major world? It can also be a not very good job. It's been both in the last couple decades. And
a lot of bad.
Well, yes and no. When I first
made the tournament 3 times the last 25 years.
Well, that's more than a lot of places. But yeah, but it's not just about that, because that can be the coach that's there's problem, right? If you're a really good coach, you can turn something around. It's about investment to me. And if you talk to like Steve Hawkins, who I covered when he was there, when I got there covering him for the first few years, they were a have among mid-major coaches. And then by the end, they were kind of a have-not in terms of investment within the school. And at the very end, when he was fired and when Dwayne Stephens looked at that job 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, and they ultimately stayed in-house with one of Hawkins' assistants, they paid that guy $220,000 a year, which is like almost half of what Dwayne Stephens is going to get now. Like, they were in such financial straits that I was amazed that I don't think they would have been able to afford Stephens. He would have had to make less than he was at Michigan State. And then secondly, I was surprised he was looking at it then. The fact that he was, though, and he was making moves like that, I think sometimes we forget that, you get a certain amount of shots in life to run your own show. And he's a guy who's been passed over sometimes. He's been real choosy other times. And he's getting close to 50 years old. If you're staying hoping for the chance that maybe you're Izzo's successor and you've got to do 6 more years working for him, and I'm not saying that's a horrible experience. I'm just
it might be better than Western.
But
you think about it,
maybe. But at least At least I think Dwayne Stephens is a guy who didn't want to go through life not having tried to run his own program. Right? You don't want to have that regret at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's Western where you want to do that.
But if you're not getting other offers, it's better than certain places.
I'd stay at Michigan State.
It's better than Central, better than Eastern. And
right.
And the investment there is a lot better because they've had the $50 million donation to athletics, $550 million to the school overall. It's in a different place. So for Dwayne Stephens, I can see why it appealed to him. It's a place where you can have a chance to have a good life and build, and maybe you build to something else. Like, when we talk about Tom Izzo's successors now, you'll truly know whether he's a successor because he'll have to do it at Western to be in that conversation. Just like a guy like Drew Valentine will have to do it at Loyola. You can't just win 1 year with all the guys you had, even though you were an assistant on that staff with the previous head coach. He's going to have to rebuild it with a new and people also here, you can't expect every year to be great at these places. Like Drew Valentine, I would be surprised if they're an NCAA tournament team next year. They lose like everybody who's a starter off that team. He's got to rebuild it a little bit. And it'll take Dwayne Stephens a little bit of time. But I think we'll have a clear understanding, if you look at the timeline, whether those two guys are people to consider. And then you never know who's else available. Butler just landed Thad Matta. Like, holy shit. They're going to win a lot now. And I think, from what I understand, that's where Dane Fife is going to wind up at Butler working for Thad Matta. And so now that leaves the Michigan State job replacing Stephens. And I talked to Tom Izzo on whatever day
Don't coach my team.
Whatever day Dwayne Stephens left. Was that Monday? Yeah. Tuesday? I don't know.
Sunday after the show.
It usually is.
Right after.
And there's a really good quote where, it caught me up by surprise a little bit just how much I think Tom Izzo understands this is an important hire for him. Like, he sounded different than when Dane Fife left a year ago. And now I think Dwayne Stephens was somebody who really wanted Mark Montgomery, and I think Mark Montgomery's a good coach. I'm not saying that's a bad, but he sounds like somebody who wants to go find some youth and vigor, but sort of that right combination. He doesn't want somebody who's like a newbie on the scene here. He's looking for somebody who's got some experience, but still in that hungry stage in their career, who understands all that you're dealing with right now in college sports with the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, and how you've sort of got to recruit your own players year after year after year. It's a different job than it used to be. And so I think there seems to be an understanding that sort of thing could help that staff. It'll be very interesting to see where he goes with it.
And the question is, if you're trying to get a young assistant in there, are they going to want a kind of a try at if when Tom Izzo retires to come, because the track record of his former assistants isn't great. So if you're a younger guy and you see that, of course you want to learn from a Hall of Fame coach, but you also want to go, well, when Coach Izzo retires, will I be in the mix for this job? And I think you have to almost do that with a track record of the assistants in the past.
And I think basically, first of all, I think it's a marquee job for most assistants in the country. Now,
I would hope so.
If you're working for Jay Wright or a few places, maybe not. But outside of a few places, going to one of the more consistently top-tier programs in the country, going to work for a guy who's a Hall of Famer.
But Dwayne Stephens did it for 19 years, and he's at Western. I know we want to sugarcoat it and say it's a great job, but 19 years you've been waiting, passed over, and now you have to go to Western. I don't blame Dwayne Stephens if he wants his own gig.
But some of that's on
and a shot at Izzo's gig.
Some of that's on. Look, there is something to certainly. You don't see a lot of. I didn't like 3 years ago when there was a lot of talk about Dwayne Stephens as an assistant. I did a column on it, and other people did columns on why he wasn't getting a look. And race was brought into it a lot. And I think there is something to that to some degree. But there are a lot of black assistants who get an offer. Sometimes you don't get the best offer twice. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't race involved in some of these decisions. But there is something, I believe, just having covered the sport long enough. How many really large, he's a 6'6", 260-pound black man. You don't see a lot of those guys getting those gigs. But
why not?
I don't know.
I feel like they should be the ones getting the gig because they played basketball.
Probably. But I think more than that, and that's why I stayed away from that. And I had these conversations with Dwayne Stephens. I think more than that, and he understood it was him. He isn't the most outgoing guy. He's not somebody who cared about schmoozing the media. And, he and I have always had a good relationship, but he's not somebody who cares about being quoted in every story. He'll return your call. He'll happily talk to you, but he doesn't seek it out, right? And he understood at a certain point, we had those conversations, that it was a little bit of a mistake. Like he needed to do more of it. Like he didn't and he's not this sort of, gregarious personality, this great orator, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean he's not a great coach. And there's some things that Mike Garland said about him a couple years ago that I thought were really telling, just about the defense and, the gap help, sort of elbow defense that they run under Izzo that's gotten Izzo to the Hall of Fame in parts, and how well Stephens runs that with coverages and how smart he is with things. You certainly, at this point, the guy should have gotten decent looks. He also stayed away from some jobs because he saw Mike Garland, what happened to him at Cleveland State. He saw how difficult it is to win at a place like Northern Illinois with Mark Montgomery. So he sees his friends, guys who were on the staff with him previously, go to these places where the resources aren't great or they're not great basketball schools and it's hard to win, and they ultimately, even if they have a decent run for a while, get fired. And you're like, well, maybe I'm in a better spot. And so I also think he liked it at Michigan State. He's a family guy. He liked the stability for his family. It wasn't a bad job being the associate head coach at Michigan State, going to 5 Final Fours, being that guy and sort of being patient for a while. And then you start to realize maybe patience isn't going to get me anywhere. This job is open that I've been intrigued about. It's arguably the best job of the mid-majors in Michigan, you could argue.
He needs to hire you. He needs to hire Graham Couch to convince recruits to come to Kalamazoo, because no one loves Kalamazoo like Graham Couch.
I could sell it.
I think you could.
Yeah, there's no
position for you there.
There's no question. And so at Michigan State, then it becomes an interesting opening. And I think it'll be good for the program to have. Now it'll be, I don't know for sure that he'll go outside the program entirely in terms of his family tree, but it's not going to be Tom Crean. It's not going to be Dane Fife. You see those sort of names. It would have been interesting if Cornell Mann hadn't just taken the Grand Valley job. A guy like that, who's Dwayne Stephens' cousin, you talk about a guy who understood the transfer portal before the transfer portal. I mean, he's the guy who recruited a lot of those transfers and built Fred Hoiberg's roster at Iowa State, including those 2 kids from Michigan State. He's the guy who got Kendrick Nunn to Oakland. He's a guy who was at Missouri. He was at Dayton, recruited, on Archie Miller's staff at Dayton. So there's a guy who I think would have fit, but he also was looking for, it was sort of his time to run something. It wasn't getting looks that he wanted, and I think he's hungry, and Grand Valley can be a good job, and he's willing to prove himself there. And so I have to think that he and Dwayne Stephens had enough conversations that he wanted that, even though thinking the Michigan State situation might come open. But there are lots of, I don't think you're going to see a Drew Valentine, because
he has too much momentum going right now.
Well, and to be like a successor, a coach in waiting, that needs to be like a 1-year deal. It never works out if it's like a 3-5 year deal. Number one, I don't think Michigan State would do that right now because he hasn't proven enough. Number two, it only works if you're like a guy like Matt Painter was at Southern Illinois, where you leave there as the head coach for 1 year under Gene Cady, knowing you're the next year. Okay, that's okay. So you're not going to see anything like that. Do you see a guy? We've had on this program Rick Carter, for example, who was a grad assistant, who's run AAU programs, who's recruited, has been a lot of places, would probably have some interest. He's of that late 30s sort of age, right, where you're talking about sort of still the prime of your career. That sort of, you could see he was a finalist with Dane Fife when Fife got the job, last time. So you could see something like that. I also think it could be somebody that Izzo doesn't know that well, but comes from a tree elsewhere of somebody that he trusts. Another coach elsewhere says, this guy's really good, you should look at him. I think Izzo's willing to look at that right now. So I think it's really hard to put names out there and say exactly who it might be. I want to talk in a little bit about the Joey Hauser situation because I do think that's interesting and what that means potentially for the roster. But let's get Harry on.
Harry needs like 5 more minutes.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, I tried sending you a text while we were talking and it didn't work. So
how does that not work? What do you mean it didn't work?
I just sent it to you and I don't know. You didn't see it before.
Oh, Harry needs 10.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a diva, man. Guy's going to New Orleans and
he wanted 3:00, then he wants 3:10. What was this? Come on.
I love Harry.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Okay, well then let's talk Joey Hauser now.
Yeah.
A couple things. When talking to Izzo the other day, he said that Hauser still hadn't made up his mind there. He wasn't sure what way Hauser was going to go. And Kyle Lawson just tweeted an interview with a Wisconsin TV station where he said he hasn't made up his mind. The reason this is interesting is if you asked me in early February of the 3 seniors who was likely to come back and not come back, I would have said I didn't know about Bingham and Brown, but Joey Hauser done for sure. And I think that was their thought. He had a rough go during the COVID year, especially. I think he was at a place where he was having a decent year, but I think he was ready to just kind of be done. I thought maybe even done with basketball. I didn't know if he was going to try and play professionally or not. Like he was just the guy was going to graduate and was looking for. He was in grad school already, looking for something else. Right? Nothing wrong with that. I do wonder if the way things ended for him, where he was playing his best basketball, he obviously had the big game against Davidson. I thought he played well in some other games late, and I think people started to realize that, and because frankly he did. I think it was pretty obvious. If he didn't have fun to the point that he thought, maybe I do this another year, and maybe I want to come back. Maybe they could use me given the other guys leaving. It'll be interesting to see what that means, though, because I as important as he is, I think it's important also that Malik Hall takes a bigger role. I think him playing less affects him mentally. And I also think they need rim protection. And they still probably need to go get a guy there because that's an area that they just weren't very good, and I don't know that they can trust that they're going to be good next year. What do you think about Joey Hauser returning?
I think it's interesting that you thought he was gone 100%, so I'm interested to see what Tom Izzo had to say to Hauser to get him to buy back in if that's what is happening right now. Because if a guy's like you, and we're saying 100%, I thought he was gone.
I think they
turned
thought
it pretty quick.
I think, and that wasn't something Hauser said to me, but that was people around the program. That was the way they thought.
Yeah, you get a vibe, right?
Yeah, no, and then people would say it to you,
body language.
I think he's, I think he's ready to be. It was, he's not quitting on the year or anything. I just think he's just ready to. This is it. And
but he almost wanted to quit basketball.
Well, no, I just don't know that he was going to want to go pro. In other words, that he might just do something else with his career, instead of go overseas or do whatever, or play. Which a lot of guys decide they don't want to do. Like me, I would love to be 22, living in some European country playing professional basketball.
Just don't go to Russia.
Just not Russia or a few other places. But I would love to be that. Some people don't want that. But me, I would. Oh my gosh, I would. I am. I do think it helps MSU's roster because he's a seasoned, good player who adds another weapon. I don't think it hurts to have Joey Hauser back. But I do think you have to understand roster construction and what that does to Malik Hall and how you make that work. And is that now? Obviously, if do you try and go Hall at the 3, especially if Max Christie doesn't come back? There's certainly and can Hall do that? And can you play those two guys instead of playing them 4-5, play them some more 3-4, and bring somebody else in to help protect the rim? Because Hauser does some things that Malik Hall doesn't, and their other bigs don't in terms of outlet passes, and he's a better rebounder than people give him credit for. But he's not a rim protector. He's not sufficient to win at the highest level as your 5-man. It's just not. We've just seen too many people take advantage of him down there, and that's not his fault. That's just not his position. So I will be curious to see if he comes back. And
any worry about Malik Hall, his mental state after last season? Kind of the way it went.
Not really. I mean, I do think he just needs to get away from it for a bit. I have not heard, from people I've talked to, nobody's looking to jump in the portal or anything like that. There's nobody else on. Now, Izzo kind of joked. He said, what day is it? Monday? Let's see what Tuesday brings. Like I think for coaches these days, you never know how a kid is truly feeling. You can wake up the next day and the kid's like, I want to go somewhere else. But I don't sense that from him. I mean, Malik Hall is a pretty reasonable kid, sensible kid. He's not. I think he was not playing well at the end. I think he was beat up a lot of the year. I don't think he intends to go anywhere else. He's also a kid who could potentially have 2 years left. That's what's going to be so weird with a lot of these guys, is they can have so much time. All these guys who are part of 2020 all have the option of that extra year, and that goes for Tyson Walker. In a year that goes for Malik Hall.
Everybody's like Van Wilder now.
Yeah, well, it's just hard.
Golf cart on campus.
And these are, there will be kids who don't want to do that and kids who do, and it'll be discussions that happen. So you just don't know where kids will be. But I think the Hauser thing is
back to Izzo real quick. Did he give a time frame, or is there a time frame where you think he'll make a decision
for Hauser
on an assistant? No,
an assistant.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. And my sense is there's not a huge now. If you start talking to a kid and there's somebody who's like, hey, not only if you hire me, there's this kid will probably come with me. I don't know if that becomes interesting or not. But I sense for Izzo, because he does, I mean, he's had 2 staff changes recently, but he's not changed his staff a lot. What's interesting is I was looking at the staff at Michigan State when Dwayne Stephens' first year was Doug Wojcik, Mark Montgomery, Dwayne Stephens, right? That was 19 years ago. Same dudes who are there now, but also – now Mike Garland, because he had stepped away, and that's how Stephens got the job. He had gone to Cleveland State. He didn't. I think for Izzo, it's about getting the right guy, and if it takes a month, so be it. Right.
But it seems like he knows maybe the same kind of faces might not work this time. I think it has to be a new face, right? That Izzo maybe hasn't seen before. Maybe knows, gets vouched for by another coach, or something like that. But I feel like Izzo knows he's got to go outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and there may be guys, he's got video coordinators or like assist. If you got like assistants somewhere, guys who've come up
There's
with
10 guys back there. You can call them whatever you want, right? Everybody's got a job.
No, I'm saying former guys who've worked for him as video coordinators, guys who've gone on to be assistants elsewhere and worked elsewhere. I'm saying they're not guys who have been assistants. Yeah, I do not think you're going to see Tom Crean in his 50s come back and want to be an assistant coach. These guys have
egos, right? I mean,
he's made a ton of money. Who wants to grind it out as an assistant? Unless, and he's had a number of opportunities. It's not like here's a guy who got screwed at Indiana and just wasn't given another chance. Right. I mean, he's been a coach a couple times over. That's. I don't see it now. It will be interesting because like the Thad Matta thing to me, that creates another difficult team to recruit against. It really does. I think Butler under Matta is going to win. I mean, but if you look at Matta's record at Ohio State, it's pretty incredible, except for the last couple of years when things fell apart when he wasn't that healthy. Like that guy can recruit. They're going to win at Butler. And that's in Indianapolis, not that far away. They're in the Big East now. It's not, for most of Izzo's tenure, Butler was a mid-major. They're not anymore. That's like somebody who's in your world now. You've got to deal with, just like you would have to deal with, Indiana or anybody like like that.
I was just told the king is ready to come on.
The king is ready. All right, why don't you give him a call? Also at Skyman, the countdown to 420 is on. So right now they have like Skyman top picks. Some of their gummies, Jolly Gummies, North Gummies are as low as $8. Some really good deals. As always, you can use the Couch and the Rube promo code Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off. Go to a Skyman location. Go to skymint.com for location information. Chances are you are within 30 minutes of a Skymint. Like in Lansing, we have 3 of them, and they will take care of you. They'll help you get through whatever you need to get through. And if you just want to relax on a night after a long day, I'm telling you, Skymint is a great way to do it. They'll answer all your questions, whether you want pre-rolls, whether you want gummies, whatever is best for your lifestyle. Skymint will take you there. All right. We all set with Harry?
Very good, yeah.
All right. Very glad now to be joined by our good friend, the great Harry Gagnon from the Against All Odds podcast with Cousin Sal, Best Bet Corner, and ExtraPoints.com. Harry, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
It's good to have you.
Not as good as Harry Gagnon.
Yeah. Where are you?
I am right. Actually, I'm leaving in a little while, but I'm still in New Orleans. Went to the championship game Monday night. Had a blast. Had North Carolina plus the 4 points. Got a little lucky there, and been doing pretty good. And still here in New Orleans.
You're not supposed to stay after the championship game to New Orleans. That's supposed
You're
to be,
right.
That's sort of a.
I don't know. He was on a heater last night. I was getting texts from the casino last night. Some video poker, some parlays going on.
It's been a nice trip. I can't complain. Nice. It's been solid.
No, that is beautiful.
Beautiful thing, as you would say, Grammar. A beautiful thing.
All right. Well, big week, obviously, and we want to talk Masters here in a second. But before we do, we've got it's opening day this week, Thursday for some teams, Tigers Friday. But if you're going to get season wins bets in, you got to do that probably before Thursday midday. Most places. I see that you like the Tigers over 77.5 wins. I do too. I'm on the Tigers. I think that's a good play, especially some places you can get it 78.5. Some places are 77.5. So check your book. Download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app and check out those odds there. What do you like about the Tigers over 77.5?
I do like over 77.5. They had 77 last year. Michael Fulmer, ERA. Not a lot of wins because Tigers didn't win a ton of games here last year, but still had an ERA of under 3. I know there's a lot of faith, like Jason had mentioned many times last year, and it's Casey Mize, who's only 24 years old. Baez, they picked up Austin Meadows from Tampa Bay, 27 home runs, 106 RBIs. Listen, this offense is going to be pretty good for Detroit. I'm going to go over 77.5, guys.
We're with you. I mean, I think we're all, and especially when you see them add Austin Meadows, I love that move. And it's not, again, it's you have a Riley Green go down for a little bit. You hope he's back. Yeah. When you're intending to contend, when you're not rebuilding, you don't waste 2 months. You go out and get a guy, and that's what they did. And that was a real sign to me. I didn't love the quote from Al Avila about getting permission for the $4 million contract.
I like that because that means Chris Ilitch is on board. Everybody's concern was ownership doesn't want to spend, and now they're going to get a guy when Riley Green goes down like that. That means the Tigers are ready to win now.
In the words of the great Chris Rock and Bring the Pain, what do you want, a cookie? That's your job as the owner. This is a non-salary cap sport. Your name shouldn't be brought up for a $4 million contract.
I don't
for
condone
permission.
what OJ did, but I understand.
Not bad, Jason. Not bad.
It's getting good. Getting better.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, you also like Arizona under 66.5 and the Mariners over 83.5. By the way, I loved is the A's were trading people. I love the A's under 70.5, but that's dipped now to like 68. You can't get the value like you could before. But you like Arizona under and the Mariners over.
Yeah, Diamondbacks real quick under 66.5. They only won 52 last year. They only have one solid all-star caliber player really do in Ketel Marte. That's all they have. They brought back 37-year-old Ian Kennedy to help out. I don't know what he's going to do. I just think it's going to be another disastrous season in the desert for the D-backs. so under 66.5 there. But I like the Mariners over 83.5 at -122. They got Robbie Ray, the AL Cy Young Award winner from last year. This is a team that's an under-the-radar type of team. The M's won 90 last year, and they were not eliminated from playoff contention until the last week of the season. Mitch Haniger, solid player, 39 homers, 100 RBIs. Ty France batted .291 last year, .309 the year before. I like this Mariners team, and I like them to go over 83.5.
All right, let's get on to the Masters here. I'm as excited about it. I mean, this is a great week, by the way. I actually would like baseball to have a lockout every year if we can do NCAA tournament, Final Four championship into Masters / opening day. Like, it's a lot. It's
that would be good for
over.
Tigers fans, so we don't have to sit in the snow on opening day.
Yeah, well, that helps.
Hell is
too.
this shit?
That helps too.
Yeah.
So you get Tiger, depending, and this line is moved, but on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, it was like at -110 at one point when I got it to make the cut, which I like. Do you like Tiger Woods to make the cut, by the way? Do you like any of the Tiger Woods prop bets?
You know, we just did Against All Odds in our Masters preview an hour ago, and Sal likes him not to make the cut. I kind of do too. I mean, of course, he's had a rich history here and loves the course, but I just don't. I don't know. I think maybe him walking the course almost 7,600 yards. If he doesn't have a good day on Thursday, and he sees these younger guys who are just playing fantastic golf. Have a 6-stroke, a 7, a 8-stroke lead on him. He may just call it quits on Friday if he's not feeling that way. Like, he played it a week and a half ago. He only played it once. He went back to his home in Florida. I just think there's a situation where he just might be too much for him. You're asking a lot here. He is giving it a go. It's going to be great. It's going to be must-see TV, but I don't think he makes the cut.
Okay, so what do you like? Anything that you really like at the Masters? What are you playing, Harry? We need your advice.
Yeah. Call me a little. Listen. Maybe this is a. I'm taking the favorite here. But I still like John Rahm at 12-1 to win the Masters. Ranked second in the world. His last 4 majors, guys. 5th, 7th, 9th, and 4th. He has a 2nd and 3rd place finish so far this season. He's 8th in driving distance, and he's 1st in greens in regulation, which should really allow him to take advantage, as he usually does at Augusta, on the par 5s, especially on holes 13 and 15. So John Rahm at 12-1. If you want a little bit of a more long shot, I'm going to take Sam Burns at 37-1 to win this. I'm going to ride the hot golfer theory here. He's 2nd on tour in FedEx points. He just a couple of weeks ago, I won with him, if you guys remember, when he defended his title, winning the Valspar Championship, and does have a total 2 wins on the 21-22 season so far in 13 tourneys this season. Sam Burns has 9 top 20, 7 total top 10s. He's 7th in birdie average, 14th in greens and regulation. Shout out to 14th in the world rankings. Sam Burns at 37-1 to win it all. John Rahm at 12-1 to win it all. And how about this for a top 20? Paul Casey at +200. I think this is great value. He seems like he's always around the leaderboard. He's always in the mix. Hasn't played a ton this season, guys, but did finish 3rd at the Players. And in last 7 tournaments at the Masters, the 44-year-old's got 4 top 20s. He's got 3 top 10s, and his last 7 majors overall has finished 17th or better in 5 of those 7.
Well,
that's the info you need, Grant.
I'm in. John Rahm, Sam Burns, Paul Casey. That's it. Mortgage the mom's house.
How about this one, guys? By the way, how about this one? Tell me if you like this one. J.J. Spawn. If people want a little early action, to miss the cut at -112. J.J. Spawn. He only qualified for the Masters because he won last week at the Valero Texas Open. I think this will be too much of a big stage for him playing in his first ever Masters. He hasn't fared well as a pro in big tournaments. He missed the cut at the Players this year, shot 78, 73. The year before, he missed the cut at the Players, and his only other major was at the U.S. Open in that year, too. Missed the cut last year at 77, 75. He fired on. So J.J. Spawn at -112 to miss the cut. I think this is great value as well. I think this should be about -160.
Oh, I'm in.
That's got to be crazy winning the Valero Open and then driving down Magnolia Lane, right? I'm with Harry on this one.
And you know what? What's funny is he said yesterday, J.J. Spawn said yesterday, this is the first time I've ever been here in real life. I've been here in virtual life like video games and stuff, but definitely not in person. So he's never even been to Augusta.
Sort of like Jason and Pornhub, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've never been here before.
Yeah, it's
me neither. Me neither, guys. And then that doesn't include this morning.
So Harry, the one you usually give us that you haven't given us is usually it's like top Spanish player from a certain county, you know.
I know. And look, I got one here. If you just want a straight up matchup, how about this one? Will Zalatoris minus 126 over Matthew Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is just 152nd on tour in driving distance. Meanwhile, Zalatoris is 17th. Last 9 rounds for Fitzpatrick at Augusta. He hasn't shot in the 60s once. 7 straight majors for Fitzpatrick. He has not cracked the top 20. Meanwhile, Zalatoris finished second in his only Masters last year, and since 2020, the 25-year-old Zalatoris has been in 5 total majors. Missed the cut in 1. He withdrew from 1 on the first day, and the other 3 finished in the top 8.
And this is the first year I'm doing those Masters props, Harry. I got Adam Scott, top former winner. I'm doing all these because of you, and you're not doing any of them? Come on, man.
I'll hit you. I'm still researching. Still got more to go. I'll hit you guys up with them later tonight.
I mean, Cantlay and Top American. I'm doing all of these.
I'm off Cantlay. I'm off Xander Schauffele, and I'm off Cantlay because those guys just don't close. You look at Xander's last 4 years. How many top 5 finishes he has, but not a win? And Cantlay, last year and a half. You know, Jay, like when we go back and forth on Saturday, Sunday with who we're going to take in golf. I've been on Cantlay to win it, and it's been so close this year, but just never got it done either, so I'm off those 2 guys this turn.
But I feel like we have to bet Schauffele until he wins one.
I know.
We've been riding it for so long. I don't want to be off the train now.
Yeah.
Brother Brian against all odds went with Schauffele this week. I gave him a little crap about it because I'm just off with him because he just didn't finish.
No, I'm with you. I've been on Schauffele a lot, partly at your recommendation and others. I mean, he's a popular guy because you can get good odds with him usually, and he's a great golfer.
Sure.
But there's a reason you get good odds. You're
and
right.
he has to win at some point, right?
Yeah.
You would think. How about James Pyatt, the Michigan State guy, top amateur plus 650? Anybody going there?
Ooh.
That's you.
I'll have to take a look at that. What's his last name?
Pyatt, P-I-O-T.
O-T, right?
And
okay.
he says he's got a chance. I don't. I mean, he says it. I mean, they all say it. But top amateur. I mean, all he's got to beat is these fuckers that don't get paid, right? Like, I mean, how hard can that be? That's it doesn't seem that difficult. We'll absolutely have to see. Harry, you are a beautiful, beautiful man. Safe travels tonight. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the golf.
Thanks, Harry.
Sounds great, guys. You guys too. Take care. Thanks.
That's the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds and BestBetCorner.com.
He's the best.
He is.
What did you get Tiger Woods to miss the cut? What was the number? Minus 110?
Yeah, what's it moved to now?
I thought it was plus money this morning. I just don't like
back. Yeah,
I just don't like any of the Tiger bets. I just don't see any value in there. I mean,
there's not a lot of value. If it was near even money to me to get to watch him Thursday and Friday, hoping he does well enough, was
the guy
worth
almost
the money.
lost his leg 15 months ago, and he gets minus 110 odds to make a fucking cut in the Masters. I'm sorry, it's just kind of crazy.
This is a pleasure bet for me. I
totally understand.
I want to root for Tiger Woods on Thursday and Friday to just make the cut.
I'm just sick of some of these sports books, though. I mean, throwing those numbers out. I mean, like I said, the guy has 1.5 legs. He's limping on there. He's saying, yes, I would love to give it a go. So there's a possibility he withdraws, and you get minus money on it to make the cut. And you definitely don't bet to not make the cut. Who does that? Like, I hate unders, but there's no way in hell I'm betting Tiger Woods to miss the cut.
Because that's the worst. So, like, I mean, and I understand. I mean, not everybody has to be like a raging Tiger fan, but
it's good. It's a good spite bet. If you hate a golfer, to miss the cut and make money.
Oh, there's some guys out there, and it's a great spite bet if they've cost you in previous.
Oh God, yeah.
In previous,
nothing better
bets.
than the spite bet win.
Yes,
nothing.
No, for sure. And if you're looking for a place to watch the Masters, to watch any of the opening day action, I'm telling you, Front 43 is a great place. Of Tigers, 1:00 on a Friday, right? Just take off work a little early, go to Front 43, pull up on a bar stool, go to Cask and Company, start your lunch there. If you go to lunch between 11 and 3, you can sign up for the free trip to Vegas. When the waiter comes around with the tablet with your check, you just put your phone number in. You're automatically registered if you're there between 11 and 3 for lunch for a 3-day, 2 nights trip to Vegas that includes like $1,000 comp book. That's at Front 43 in Cask and Company. Terrific beer selection, great menu. I think you know how we feel about the place. I think it's the premier place to watch sports. Let me real quick. Let me see what I can find here for the latest on Tigers on the to make the cut. Hold on one second.
By the way, congrats to Craig Robinson for winning the Lansing State Journal bracket pool and winning a Joe Rexroad autograph picture.
He's actually going to take lunch with me and Phil at some point. So.
I told him to do it on Zoom, make you guys do it on a Zoom call or something.
Yeah, I can.
What an ego, though, to think that people, that would be a prize for them, though.
It could be.
To have that mindset is amazing to me.
It could be a prize, no?
Yeah, I get it, but I wouldn't throw myself out there like, ooh, guess what? Congrats.
Thanks for holding.
Now you get to have lunch with me, and then I'm just sitting there and not looking at my phone.
So on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, it's plus 100. It's even money right now for Tiger Woods to make the cut. Minus
Vegas doesn't know shit.
That's better. Those are better odds than I saw it. But
that's what they should be. It should be a little higher, maybe plus 160 to make the cut. I understand they have to minimize the losses, but.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's an uphill climb for them. I mean, no pun intended. I mean, walking that many holes and to make the cut after what he's been through.
By the way,
Tiger Woods effect.
I need to figure out what's going on with the Couch in the Rube NCAA tournament pool. I logged on yesterday. I got like 3 different people emailing me saying they like want it, and I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense.
What a great bit.
I'm looking at the different. Like, I don't know what's going on. I need to make sure
Can
we're all
more people write in and say they won, please?
I don't really understand what's happening. So I'll figure that out.
Pretty sure I won that one, Graham.
What are we going to do with the Tigers? Have we decided? Are we going to bet every game? Is that going to be our thing?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
You could have just asked me to play it.
Yeah, thank you. Do we want to do that though? Do you think we start out and just do it out of the gate?
Out of the gate? I think we have to, just for the content. But yeah,
I mean, I agree. I think we're all in. I think we bet
every game though.
Every
you
game.
Don't want to get a vibe, a little April vibe, how things are going to go.
I think we're all in.
All right.
Like, I mean, we have to figure out if we get anybody. I don't know. If it's like $10 each. I'm not saying we have big.
That's
money.
why I'm surprised I haven't been talked into a cult, because I can easily be flipped into anything.
Yeah, right there.
Maybe Adam like, I don't know, man. Graham, we should wait. And you're like, no, we're gonna do it. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not in. Cult. What sort of cult?
Too dumb.
What cult would you be in?
I mean, the Heaven's Gate one, I watched a special on that, and there's no way I would have been convinced to cut my own wiener off.
Right.
Or balls or whatever they did, and then take the liquid. Some Jim Jones stuff. I'm not, like I said, liquid dying, no. I could be talked into something that involves me going to heaven or something, or 72 wives. I could be talked into that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whatever
I can see that. I could totally see that.
Like when I'm 70.
Keep an eye on him, Teresa.
Tell me.
Don't let him join any
I'm not going
cults.
to drive a plane into anything to get that, but yeah.
There's got to be some cults in Ovid somewhere.
Oh, Jesus. Not the cults that I would join.
No. Yeah. No. I think we play it. Right. If it's a tough start, obviously, White Sox, Red Sox, I get that. But Red Sox aren't that great. And the Tigers are supposed to be good. Like, if the Tigers are what we think they could be, you know.
I know, we're just a little gun shy is all.
It's been a long time. It's been a win. By the way, the Pistons have a shot at the over 24.5, which
that's crazy.
It's pretty amazing. I mean,
does it come down to it tonight?
No, there's 3 games left. They got to win 2, but they're against good teams who are still playing for stuff. But they were a long way out. Like, they've won a lot of games to get here. So
need to play the Lakers, man. Jesus.
It could absolutely could absolutely happen. All right, we are going to take a really quick break here. We'll come back. Brendan Quinn. We'll talk Michigan State basketball. We'll talk about the Masters, where he is at right now, and we'll do that next. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Front 43 and Cask and Company.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch and a Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
All right, very pleased now to be joined by our good friend Brendan Quinn from The Athletic, who is at the Masters at Augusta, running on fumes straight from New Orleans to Augusta. And so we wanted to have him on to talk some spring football and see what this. How you doing, man?
Hi. I'm having a beer on the back of the gazebo at Augusta National, Graham. So, it's a grind, let me tell you.
That doesn't suck. Oh, man.
What So what are we thinking? Backup offensive lineman?
Right.
What are we getting into here?
Really wondering what you think for Elijah Collins this year, what his role at Michigan State. Yeah, if you could give us that, be good. Be great.
Let me pull up his bio, find out who that
is. Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, it is a good life. You live a charmed life, but you also work for it. Like the piece you wrote today, which I do know you wrote on Fumes yesterday, was really good, sort of on the psychology of Tiger Woods and why he wants to do this. And I thought it was well done. I mean, what sort of circus? I mean, obviously you have to be credentialed ahead of time. It's not like 50,000 more media can descend on the place. So is it how different does Tiger Woods create in terms of the vibe? How different is it?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to look at it, I think, Graham. Like from the spectacle standpoint, and from the kind of like the scale of the event, like the Masters is always going to be what it is. It's arguably the biggest tournament of the year, no matter what, and it's just in terms of tradition, in terms of importance, blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, Tiger just changes the broader appeal of it, and your 50-50 fan who otherwise might tune in for check the leaderboard here and there. Oh yeah, Spieth is competing. I'm inclined to watch it because Spieth is in contention, or they'll be sure to maybe watch the back nine on Sunday. Well, those people watch on Thursday now when Tiger plays, I think. So like it's that level of growth in attention and eyeballs. In terms of the event itself, though, like me personally being the writer, like I don't expect Tiger to contend. It's certainly cool to have him here. It's a huge story. I like writing about it because he's Tiger Woods. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's also nicer to like kind of write stories that not every single person's writing, and go find guys in the field who have a story that isn't told. Normally on a Thursday, I would go out and find some unknown guy and follow him for 18 and see if something happens and write stories like that. Well, now that there's just no question. You just can't do that.
So you can't write about amateur Laird Shepherd on Thursday and tell your editors, this is what I came back with.
I cannot do that. No, it'll be 18 with Tiger, and at Augusta, the media is not credentialed for inside the ropes. You are just a patron with a nice badge that gets you into the opulent media center, which is just an extraordinary structure. They built this thing with the goal of us not leaving it, and a lot of people don't, so that's good for them. But yeah, so it's 18, and you're just on the ground. This place is a beast to walk, and that'll be tomorrow's assignment, come hell or high water. And for a lot of people, that's going to be Friday's assignment too.
Right.
You know, unless he's in the top 25, I will be pivoting off on Friday. But yeah, his shadow just covers everything when he walks in the room.
No, you're totally right though. Like my interest in tomorrow morning's tea time at 10:45 is like, all right, or 10:34, whatever, right around there. I'm in. Okay, good. That's all I needed to know. I've heard people who are calling in to be, calling off work the next 2 days, like it's the NCAA tournament Thursday and Friday. Like this is, and it's a big deal. It's a lot of fun. Does this for you the transition from hoops to the Masters? And I know you love being a golf writer, but this is extreme. This is like you go from Monday night in another city covering a big game to, and granted, I mean, I don't know if anybody else, I didn't give a flying rat's ass about Kansas, but still, you go to writing about a huge golf tournament. Do you enjoy this flip, or is it a bit overwhelming?
I mean, I certainly enjoy it more than anything else. It's incredible. I'm incredibly fortunate that this is the job, and it's extraordinary, and a million people would pay many, many dollars to do this. It's the only overwhelming part of it is that at the end of the basketball season, you're locked in.
Yeah.
You know the rosters, you know what you're talking about. You're just really kind of, you got your finger on the pulse. You get it. And then suddenly the next day you wake up and now you have a completely different job, and you're like, wait, so who won last week? Who's playing well? Where's Phil? Has anyone seen Phil? Yeah. And it's just kind of this you just walk into a totally different world where everyone in the media center here has been doing this for, weeks on end. Since basically the season restarted after the little winter break. That's really the only thing that can be overwhelming, other than like the lack of sleep and stuff like that, but we'll worry about that at the end of the week. So, but coming here is, this is my third time, except the first two times, 1 year was no fans.
Right.
So I saw an empty Augusta with Dustin Johnson winning in the November Masters. Then I came last year for what I thought was going to be my first normal Masters. And because of a contact tracing situation, I got booted. I was in contact with someone who ended up testing positive, and that ended up with my credential being revoked. So I left before Thursday even began and had to drive back to Michigan and missed Hideki's win. So, in a lot of ways, this is my third trip here, but it feels like my first Masters. So I'm really geeked up to kind of see the place, full crowd, the roars, all this, Tiger's back, there's a lot. The stomach's kind of, I got some butterflies for tomorrow. I'm really excited.
No, that's outstanding. I'm excited for you. It's fun to picture you out there. Let's talk about the sport you still have your in your some headspace for. A couple things. You watched you were at a lot of different NCAA regionals or sites after being at the Big Ten tournament. You've seen sort of what the teams that made a run look like after watching Michigan State all year. Is it sort of the idea that this is a 2-year group, and we'll talk about Max Christie in a second, but and that they could be, and I know they gave Duke a good run and played well, but that was with a lot of veteran guys playing well. Do they still feel like they're on the cusp, if they develop right, to being where a bunch of the teams you saw were?
I mean, I still think there's a pretty significant gap.
Yeah.
Between that and what you see in what I saw in the Final Four, yeah, I mean, those teams look different. There are bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic. There is a gap without question. And I put a year on Max Christie. Okay, that's fine. I mean, a lot of the guys on those teams were men, athletic, kind of pro-looking bodies. How many pro-looking bodies are on Michigan State right now? Like, you get around Kansas and you're like, my God. I mean, they're huge. You know, like Agbaji's like, he's a fourth-year guy with a NBA body. Like, Michigan State just doesn't have that right now. Do they have a roster that you walk by and look at and say, yeah, you can compete in the Big Ten? Sure. They have a roster that you walk by and look at and say you can win national championship? Based on the Final Four that I just saw, no. You know, there's just a different size and kind of physique to some of those guys. And part of it is because of, you know, the COVID situation and extra years and these schools having guys that probably wouldn't be there otherwise. But I do think that gap exists. And now you can address that. You can address it in the transfer portal. You know, bringing in different freshmen does not kind of close that gap, but you can go out and find guys that might fit that billing, who are out there. It's really just how willing are you to go make that a primary vehicle of talent acquisition.
Yeah, I think there's no question if they want to, no matter what their backcourt evolves into, and Max Christie, you know, his decision will be part of that. You're not going to get where you want to go without doing something to address your front court and your ability to defend against really good play. And I don't just mean the Big Ten's behemoths. Like, I'll ask you that about the Big Ten. Like, do you think there's a lesson from the last 2 years in the Big Ten that in the NCAA tournament, having these guys who are monster big men who maybe don't do something for you defensively or playing through them, do you think there is a lesson that that's not the way to build?
I don't know. I have no idea what that alarm is in the background. It's either a tornado or any kind. Someone might have just walked into the wrong spot of the property and they're going to get sniped or something. But I'm not sure. I go back and forth on it a lot. If it's just kind of an outlier thing, if it's an indictment of kind of how the league has been built, and that some teams have gotten big, so other teams have responded by getting big because you have to compete in your own league. I don't know, because at the same time, you look at Iowa, right? They didn't have the traditional big center this year, and they lost to Richmond in the first round. So,
are you going to get shot there right now?
What do you make of that? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, as long as if you need to drop your phone and run, you know, let me know. I want to ask you about Max Christie. Like, I mean, this is something that, you know, I think there was a sense that he could potentially test the waters. I think he'd like to go pro. He does not look like a pro to me. Like, if he wants to go pro, he can do it. He's not going to play in the NBA next year. He may be drafted in the NBA, but he's going to be a G League kid or whatever. Do you think he ultimately has that understanding and that he will want to be in college, be it at Michigan State or somewhere next year?
I mean, I think we all know that Max Christie is a very bright, mature kid. I just remember, I mean, we were talking about it after, like, the Butler game. It was the first month of the season, basically, where it was just kind of this guy is way beyond his years, et cetera, et cetera. And I still think that's the case. What do you want to do? You know, if that maturity also leads into saying, well, yeah, I'm smart and I want to get to my second NBA contract sooner than later. Well, okay, you know, who knows where it takes him? Who knows what the voices around him are telling him is the best play? I think he's probably reasonable enough to know that body-wise, size-wise, he's not ready for the league at all. And that, you know, if he goes, it's likely a G League situation next year. Even if he gets drafted, he's not playing in the NBA next year. That ain't happening.
Right.
He's just not there. But, you know, there are guys who can go on a two-way and let their bodies develop. I mean, Jordan Poole, great example. You know, he was a guy who, when he went to the league, physically just wasn't even close. But talent-wise, yeah, like he had NBA talent and had all the makings of an NBA basketball player. And it was just a matter of going to the organization that would give him the time to do that. And even now, he's still only like 22.
But
he was so young.
See, I wonder if Jordan Poole, though, doesn't have kind of some dog in him that I'm not sure Max Christie developed yet, if that makes sense. That there's a certain edge to him. That's the other component I think that Christie could really use at the college game, like that, developing that ability to dominate a level and have a certain. I mean, he's got confidence. He doesn't lack confidence, that's for sure. But I don't know if there just seemed to be, Poole seemed to be a little bit more of a. I don't even know the way to put it, but he just seemed to have a little more A.J. Hogarth in him, or if that makes any sense.
I'd say the biggest difference between the two is that Jordan Poole was clearly a better ball handler than Max Christie is right now, and that was part of the upside that a lot of teams saw was, he really was really good with the ball. He had control over the ball. Max just seems a little loose with the ball. And my question for Christie too is like, okay, so he played, suburban high school ball in Chicago, and then he was the fourth option on a okay Big Ten team. Like, where's the spot where like he is a primary piece playing against high end competition? Like we haven't seen that.
Yeah. Like,
and that'd be a lot for me to invest in as an NBA franchise. But he also might not care about that. It might just be, if he wants to get to the league, he wants to get to the league, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because he will get a shot.
Yep.
If he goes to the right franchise, he can be put into a system where he's okay. We're going to develop you. We're not looking at anything from you until 2024. Just get bigger, stronger, blah blah blah. Then that's, if you don't want to be in college, then don't be in college. But yeah, I think another year in college does him a lot of good, whether it's Michigan State or elsewhere, wherever. But it's more so because playing real minutes in games that matter, like not playing in the G League, frankly, going through it at a high level where, you're the primary piece. We're going to put the ball in your hands. We're going to put you in a ball screen. We're going to draw up plays for you late in shot clock. We're going to be looking at you late in games to go win us contests. You get minutes and run in the G League, but it's just different. So that's what I kind of want to see from him getting another, deciding to go for another year.
Yeah, to me, he seems like, I don't know, he seems like the perfect guy for what college is there for, right? To grow against your peers, learn to dominate that level, and then do the next one.
Yeah, but then there's the flip side of it, that if he comes back and has an identical year to his freshman year,
he's got a problem.
He's got a problem.
Yep. No, I'm totally with you. Brendan, I can't wait to read your stuff. I hope you enjoy the hell out of the week. I hope you got many more beers coming today on the back deck there, and whatever that alarm is nothing too frightening. So,
Graham, this is Augusta National. It's not the back deck; it's the veranda.
You can tell I've never been.
Get it right, you ignorant bastard.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great week.
Thanks, Graham. Appreciate you.
That is Brendan Quinn from Augusta National.
What a professional.
Yeah. Handled that pretty well.
Like a hostage negotiator on a bullhorn.
It did not sound good.
Like, I would have been like, can I call you guys back? He just powered through it.
I don't know what's going on there. Some interesting stuff, though, from Quinn, man. We appreciate him joining us. We appreciate Harry joining us. Thanks, of course, to Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. Chances are you live within half an hour of a Skymint, probably closer. Thanks to Front 43 and Cask & Company. Great place to watch games. You're looking for a place to catch the baseballs. It's underway. Great place to do it. Front 43, the golf. Front 43 and Cask & Company. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.